I thought there'd be a nice turnout here, and there is, because we're all interested in security, and we're all getting emails and text, and have to worry about, is it real, is it not real, and what's going to happen to us. So this is a very timely subject, and we're very glad to have Ron here today. Ron is a resident of Southern California and is a graduate of the University of California. In 1963, he was introduced to coin collecting by a schoolmate, and he purchased his first large cent from a Woolworth's variety store in 1963. If you can remember, those of you who were around those days, you can go into some of these stores and they might have a little area on the side where they would sell coins. Ron's first coin that he purchased was a 1845 large cent, and he paid $4.50 for it. And from there, his numismatic interests were kindled and continued and greatly expanded. Ron is a life member of the Early American Coppers, our group, and he's been a member since 1998 when Tom Reynolds introduced him to the EAC. Currently, he serves as our EAC regional chairman of Region Number 7. Ron primarily connects and his focus is on the large cents early dates. And for the last 5 years, he has been both the NGC and the PCGS #1 set registry position for specialty series, which is one heck of an accomplishment. It's a very timely subject, and it's my pleasure to present Ron. Ron?
Thank you. I'm going to say this right up front. I've got a lot of information on this, so somebody can give me maybe Dennis, if you can give me a 10-minute warning when the time is coming close, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's good to be here with all of you today, and I appreciate your attendance here. I want to talk today and discuss a little bit about a subject that is, let me make sure I don't miss it out, is a situation within our membership that is endemic and specific to our EAC club. That is internet security and hacking problems that we've faced in the past. As you can see, I belong to different organizations, and these are just a few. But the organizations that I belong to, both professionally and in the hobby, some of them extend back almost to in the mid-1970s, and I have yet to receive any kind of malicious email from any of the other organization. Now with EAC, that's a different story. In the last, many years ago, we had a problem with our website being destroyed by a virus. And since 2018, I've noticed, I've been the chairman region since about, for the last 12 years. And I've seen a problem with the number of emails being developed, sent out, that are malicious in nature and questionable. What I want to do is increase your awareness today. If anything else you get out of this seminar is your awareness of what's going out there and some of the mitigation measures that you can take on your behalf to protect yourself and perhaps prevent spreading some of this email. I'm no cybersecurity expert, let me put that up front. I do work for an organization that handles a lot of confidential and sensitive information and who is very proactive in, with their employee staff about cybersecurity. The road that they deal with is an industrial, but a lot of the training that they send us to, which is at least 3 or 4 times a year, can be utilized in our little personal individual computer uses and internet. So without taking too much time, I want to put up on the first series of slides, we'll show you some of the emails that have come out in the last few years and share with you. And each one I will talk about a little later on in the program. The first one is from Chuck Heck, really not from Chuck Heck. And if you can see from the first one, let me point out to you that some of the key things you want to look at that triggers you that may be a spurious email. One has to do with sometimes a misspelling. There's no, and if you know Chuck, well, when he communicates with me, he doesn't email me, he calls me, okay? And that's what he generally does. With regards to the title, there's no, hey, Ron, hello, how are you? And something else that's a little suspicious too is that he's talking about a picture and he wants me to go to another link. Okay, I don't know if you've seen, Chuck's name has been used in a number of these kinds of emails, more than some of the other members. One of the things I do want to say about this is that the problem seems to be focused on our national board members. Most of the emails that I get from people have come from either the president's office, sometimes from the vice president, but a lot from the treasurer's office and from the secretary's office. I have yet to see one from any other regional. And I do see some from occasionally from the members out in the field. The second one you can take a look at is from Bill Eckberg. Here, this one really keys me up. If you see the two, it says Region 7 Chairman at EAC.org. Bill's known as my direct email. My direct email is inside of the PW. The Region 7 Chairman is a designation. That kind of format for the email is on our website. It is to let people who don't know who the regional chairmans are go ahead and just key in a Region 7. And the way it's set up by the webmaster, it links it to our personal emails and we'll get it. Well, Bill knows who I am. The other thing there, it's not exactly personal either. Bill says, hi. And then it goes into talking. I got this email probably about September of last year. And it says, do you have a moment to spare today? On my behalf, I need you to handle payment that is overdue, expenses, yada, yada, about Masuka. Well, by this time, Bob, our current president, was in office at that time. The other thing that makes it suspicious too is the method of payment. You're not using credit cards or check. It wants you to use things that maybe is used out in the cyber hacking community. Zelle, wire transfer, then anything that makes it easy for them to obtain the money and the funds and then run. Okay. Okay, and then the other thing with keys, if anybody knows how Bill closes his letter, does anybody knows how to close his emails? If you get an email from him? He says, cheers. Cheers. That's what he says. This next example is from Bob, right here. And again, general format. It doesn't have it uses the Region 7. It doesn't say addresses to me, and it just says Bob, okay? Again, a little suspicious about that. And each one of these emails that you see, I've actually communicated prior to responding to these directly with the sender. And I'll tell you how to do that so you don't use these formats, respond on these, and create what is known as a thread. You create a thread with these and you're asking for a lot of problem. The other one is from Grady Frisbee. Now, what made this one interesting is that Grady Frisbee's emails on there. I'm going to get a little ahead of myself. Let me hold that one for a little bit. I'll explain that a little bit, why this one was a little bit more harder to determine if it was from Grady or not. You have a question, sir?
Yeah, when you reply to a spoofed from address, is it going to reply to whatever's behind that?
Yeah, and I'll get into that too. I've got a great example from Donna Levine on that one. Okay, I want to move right along because I've got a lot of information. I sure hope I have enough time to. In this kind of email, which you were kind of alluding to, this is a type of email that has from a Dropbox. And as you can see, to view the file, you open up that file, and inside of that file may contain a malware. Now that malware could be in the form of a spyware, it could be a Trojan horse, it could be ransomware. One thing is about the spurious emails coming to us, they do not have any, at least the ones that I've seen over the last few years, are more malicious in nature, trying to attack your email, try to absorb your information, maybe grab your personal confidential information. They are not going after, like I've seen, is money, or they are not asking for payment or something like this. Other than that first one there that you saw from Bill Eckberg, that's the only one I've seen that asks for money at the time. You open up these drop boxes, and again, you're allowing the opportunity of maybe a worm or some sort of malware to get into your system. Now, go ahead, John.
I wonder what the link said when you hover over it.
I will get into that because I've gone down that avenue. Let's see. I think I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on this particular file. Okay, cybersecurity. What exactly does cybersecurity do? Now, there are cybersecurity technicians out there, specialists who have it. In my organization, there is a whole unit that specializes in this, so that in a corporate environment or an industrial environment or a government environment, you get a spurious email, immediately you contact your cybersecurity unit who's involved with researching this kind of information. You do not respond to it. You respond to it, and you can cause all kinds of problems. And we'll get into that too, because if any of you have been involved or heard about the AT&T data breach, I don't know if any of you have been, but that was that's affected about 26 million Americans whose names, social security numbers, accounts are out there now on the dark web. And I can guarantee you it's out there, all 26 million. And it's a data breach that occurred over a period of time. It didn't happen all at once. But that's something we can talk about later on. Cybersecurity can be described as the collective methods, technologies, and processes to help protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer systems, networks, data, and against cyber attacks or unauthorized access. Now this again is focusing on corporate, but just add yourself in there as a personal individual. You have to increase your awareness, increase your sensitivity to look at this kind of stuff. In fact, if you get to the point like where some of us are, we even question some of the good email that comes in. We'll check it and make sure that we run parameters to make sure that it is good and it's valid. Okay, how pervasive and costly? Let me give you some stats for a little bit of what this can do, what it has done to our country at this point in time. How pervasive and costly is the internet hacking? And these stats are from the FBI. At the start of 2023, the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, estimated that 33 billion internet accounts in this country have been attacked. Billion, and that's more. Our population here in this country is about 270 million. 33 billion, because what do you have? You have your internet account on your bank. You have maybe your utilities you're paying. Your kids have their training or school connections to learning, online learning aspects. So we have multiple accounts. That's for just 1 year alone. And that occurs around average a little bit over 2,300 attacks a day, 97 cybercrime victims per hour, a hacker attack every 39 seconds. That is as of January 2024. So this is a growing, pervasive problem, folks. Not only just for our club, but also for you as an individual, and as far as if you have companies and businesses, because I'm going to share a few stories with you too later on. Okay, almost 50% of the victims, and this applies to a lot of us in this room, all right, I'm sure, reported to the IC3, to the FBI, were over the age of 60 years old, and they comprise over half, 66% of the total losses. Now, why do they pick the seniors? One, because generally there's a little bit more money in that group right there. Sometimes they're a little bit more softer, easier to hit, soft targets. They're a little bit more gullible, maybe. I'm not saying that for sure, because, you could be sharp.
A little bit less internet savvy.
That's right, a little less internet savvy. One of the examples I want to share with you has to do with, it doesn't have to be somebody who's, just had a high school education. Some of these people, one individual I know personally, was an engineer, and she had a PhD, and her husband received a phone call. They received a phone call from the IRS demanding money. Well, this husband had to convince his wife that no, but because she was afraid of fines and penalties, she says, just pay it, forget it, let's get it off our back. No.
IRS never calls you.
Never calls you. Yeah. Your bank, your credit card companies, they'll never ask you for personal information over the phone. If they're going to do something, they'll send it to you by mail, or otherwise they'll send it by confidential mail, or contact you through your bank. But they will not demand money over the phone. Okay, for 2023, the total cost of cyber crimes in the United States was estimated by the IC3 at $10 billion. They say that is just that's just the ones that have been reported. They actually think it's probably about 2 or 3 times that amount, because a lot of people do not report these kind of crimes, and they just get sucked into it. I mean, a lot of these individuals are older people, maybe in mail, or somebody who's communicating with somebody overseas who doesn't know to receive. talking to a female, says, I need some money, send me some. Next thing you know, he's out $500,000. And that's a true story that just occurred about 2 or 3 months ago. Mid-continent, I guess many of you know Jeff Garrett. He was a former president of the ANA, and he operates Mid-Continent Rare Coin Galleries. And he wrote an article about last year about an incident that occurred to him. He does a lot of online business, has a lot of things going on, and he really didn't have his internet system, his online business, really set up too much for security. He took like in this business, in this hobby, we take a lot of faith. Hey, I want to do business with you, Mike. I'm going to sell you my coin. I'll give you a check, and boom, that's it. We're done. Well, he was kind of going along with this, but he's also taking care of business. Well, he gets a call from his bank that he says that your business checking account, it won't clear this last $50,000 check. He goes, what? There's over $200,000 in that account. And found out that they hacked him through his business internet and took $200,000. And this was just within the last year. So if you ever see Jeff on the floor, you can ask him about that, and he'll tell you what happened in that incident. It was a series of about 3 or 4 withdrawals, $50,000 a piece, and when they hit the final $50,000, it wouldn't clear. So by that time, his bank account was gone. You couldn't do anything about it either, is what amounted to. Yeah. Internet-based crime is one of the fastest growing security threats in the United States. Let me tell you this. When you have your cell phone, you have your communication device, it's like a radio. I mean, if there's a way to hack into that, I mean, it's a digital radio, okay? But there's ways you can hack into that thing and get into it. I can say for law enforcement purposes, if we're tapping a cell phone line, it can be done with a search warrant, and we do that, and it has been done. And so that what I'm trying to present here is not to be. Just keep in mind that whatever goes out over the internet, over a cable, goes over Wi-Fi, I mean, it's out there. There's no way you're going to stop that kind of stuff. It's like broadcasting it out. I mean, it may be digitally encrypted. You may have a, whatever security devices. But if the crook is sharp enough, they'll be able to break into it and get the information. It's fast growing because the threat is not only because it's going to put malware onto our EAC, your club, stuff like this, but we're talking about bigger things like what's going to happen to the power grid, the National Security Agency being hacked like that. This is what it is. The biggest, from the FBI stats, they see it coming from India, Russia, and China are the big 3 who do it. Okay, just a brief, a little bit of what I'm going to be talking a little bit about for the balance of the afternoon. Recognition of possible phishing, smishing, and vishing. Now, if you haven't heard of these terms, these are hacker terms. Phishing essentially means hacking into your email, sending you fraudulent email, malicious email to ask for money or otherwise to infect your computer system, your whatever systems they want to get into. Smishing has to do with SMS texting, and I've got examples of that, how they text you information to you and want you to do something to obtain money, confidential information. And it's if you're not aware of it, and if you're kind of gullible or you're just not paying attention, you can get caught into this. Vishing attack is similar to the one I just talked about with the lady who was a PhD engineer, chemical engineer, and it's by phone. And one of the things that was interesting was a phone kind of vishing attack happened just a couple of months ago. It was a father who lived out on the West Coast, and he got a call from his son saying, I need money. I'm in jail, or I need this kind of stuff, and I need so much money. Well, he recognized the voice, the intonation, everything. And he says, okay, let me get back to you. And he puts the phone down, and he's thinking after a little bit, and the wife discusses, this Charles, whatever the son name was, need this one. Call him back, so get some information. So he calls the son back. It wasn't him. That's AI getting involved with this too. Voice simulation software. Be careful of that, because it could sound like your wife, can sound like your brother. I mean, just give another call back. Use a 2-factor kind of security thing. Call them back and find out, hey, Brian, Dennis, you need some money? Did you call me? Yeah, I need money, but I didn't call you. Yeah. I need money. Okay, the term that's used in the hacker world is social engineering. And what that means is a way that they kind of manipulate you, either through threats, through intimidation, whatever methods that they could use to convince you. And usually it's a high priority kind of situation. One of the situations they give us example in the corporate world is that you got a guy who's working on a computer all day long. He gets a call from IT tech or security. Hey, Charles, yeah. Hey, we got a problem with your computer there. You made a mistake, and we're gonna have to notify your supervisor on it, and also management that you need to clear up a problem on the project that you're working. Oh my God! Next thing you know, you're feeling kind of sick. Input your, give us your username and password, and let's get this corrected before it costs us a lot of money. I gotta think. No, you think, you put it down. Because if you get sucked into that, that's an example of using intimidation, and there's a immediate need. No. Your response would be either put the phone down, call for us, it would be to call the IT tech office itself directly and say, hey, did you guys just call me, and get it clarified. That's how would you do it in your specific environment? Increase your awareness. Be a little skeptical about those calls that says, hey, Mom, I'm over here at school and I need some money and stuff like that. It may not be really happening, So think about it. Be careful about what's going on. Would your daughter or your son call you from school, or would the school official call you? Give a call back. But anyhow, they're using some sort of form of intimidation or manipulation to get you to respond. One of the ones I just saw recently too had to do with PC Jets. Some guy gets a call from, he's a set registry member. He gets a call from PC Jets out of the blue, and it says, hey, Dennis, your set is absolutely great. We really like the way you designed it and everything. We want to write an article on it, and we want to maybe give you a special certificate for your efforts. I mean, it may not be the #1 set, but we think it's really good. And they're building them up. It says, just give us your password, and your user ID, and let's get it all taken care of. No, you don't do that. But it's the way that they're building it. It's another way. Rather than rapid intimidation, they're going back to the other way and using ego. Stroke your ego. So be careful with that too. Hey, Leanna, you're doing a great job here. We gotta, we want to help you out, but help us out. I don't have your username or password. Can you, get that kind of stuff? No. All right. Social engineering is the term. I'm going to be talking about suggestions as to verifying credible emails versus phishing attempts. Malware introduction onto your computer operating system. Let me talk to you a little bit about malware. Just to really talk. We know what ransomware is, and we know what spyware is. I mean, if you've ever seen one of these things actually work, it's amazing. If they introduce a bug to you, just say you open up one of those Dropboxes things and you didn't see nothing, and it could take months, it could take weeks, it could take some period of time, but all of a sudden your computer turns on without you turning it on, or you're working with the computer, then all of a sudden the cursor is moving by itself, and there's something going on here. Either wrong with the computer or something's got into your system. The worst thing about spyware is, one of the things is that it comes on when they turn it on. And they could see if the house is empty or whatever, it's time to break into the house, or maybe you're in a compromising position. They could photograph it, videotape it, and then email you back with a tape of what you were doing, and we're going to put this on the internet, we're going to show it on YouTube, unless you pay us some money. So that's how some of these people work. Like I said, EAC, I haven't seen that. Most of the things I've seen thus far has to do with just introducing malicious email and getting just causing some problems out there, other than the total destruction of our website at one time. I'm going to talk about some of the recommendations as to how to mitigate some of these attacks, but the ultimate goal today, again, is awareness. Okay. Phishing is the most common form of cybercrime. With phishing, even in the corporate world, in the government world, the crooks, the hackers, need a way in. The easiest way they could develop software or attack it like they tried to do with the NSA and go through the back door and use their, find a little weak spot in their security system and work it that way. That takes a little bit of time and a lot of bit of resources. Maybe the Chinese and the Russians can do it. Well, okay, we'll see. I don't know. But what do you think is the weakest link in all this? The weakest link where they can gain access to.
Email, hey, click a link.
It's you. It's the human factor involved. They could do it by, social engineering, or otherwise you can get careless. You're busy at your table working on or looking at buying a coin, and then somebody pulls you away, and your computer's right there showing everything. And they can get onto the computer. They could do whatever they need to do, or they can watch you. One of the things too about your computer, if you have one of these screen things that you put on, so like you see at a bank, it only allows you to see it one way. So that if somebody's looking at it from a sideways or standing behind you, they can't see it. It's got to be, you have to be at a certain angle. That is a good thing to have, also to keep in mind.
So you're trying to do training.
The objective of phishing scheme is to generally attempt to steal sensitive personal information such as passwords, usernames, credit card account, bank accounts, info, and use it for illicit purposes. We all know that. It is important to be able to recognize these phishing attempts, which I'm trying to do is increase your awareness today. Be skeptical of emails that are unexpected, demand urgency, or even appear to be from a reputable source or person that you know, son, daughter, friend, or from known persons asking, tricking you into opening malicious links or files. You saw the letter from Chuck, and wanted me to open up that picture link. And these are phishing attacks, are often used for malware delivery. And again, we talked about malware. As far as identification and verification, let me, there's a wire right here, but
Gotta go that way.
yeah, I can't go that way. These are emails I received about 2 or 3 months after Bob became president, okay? And I verified with him that these are fraudulent because he was aghast at it too, and he didn't know how to stop it. If I can recognize what the problem is, that this looks kind of suspicious to Region 7, it's general in nature. So I want to verify that, hey, is this really from Bob? So if you take your computer cursor, and for me, I use my iPhone, and the iPhone's pretty good. Click on that Bob, his name, on each one of these, and if you click on it, if you have a cell phone or if you're using it on a computer, on the cell phone, on the iPhone, it turns it to a blue color. Now, what you're trying to do is find out who sent that. Did Bob? Because I know Bob's email, and I can recognize it. But if you look at it, when it comes up, at least on the iPhone or on your computer, it'll show you the URL, the identification protocol, who sent it. You can see it says president. Oh yeah, it's president. Oh, it's from a Gmail account. It's president from this one. Oh, he's got to use another Gmail account. That's not right. Because if any of you know Bob's email, this is not it. Okay. So the idea is to click onto that header, who it's from. On the computer, it changes a little. It'll change it, or actually will produce it, depending on your computer, what type you have. Yes, sir.
Do you actually click on it, or you just hover over it?
You could, well, on the iPhone, you have to actually touch it to put it. You can make the color to come out, and then once you press it again, what I call clicking is actually to produce this kind of information. On the computer, like you said, Brian, some of them you can hover over it, and it produces this information, whatever your system is that you're using. Okay, this is an interesting one here. These two, because one is from Donna Levine and the other is from Grady, and they're both Dropboxes. And what was interesting about these two is that the hacker was a little bit more sophisticated, because what it did with I'll go just use Donna's right here, and same for Grady's, is that when I clicked on or hovered over it, clicked on the email, it brought up their email, their actual email. Something. Oh, I'm sorry. Basically, what I'm saying, Ed, is that on these particular emails that I received from Donna and Grady, when I hovered over or I brought my finger over to the email identification box where it came from, it actually showed their true, real emails. Okay, so it was a more advanced technique. Rather than just using a name, they actually broke into their system. And I'll tell you, in each one of these cases, they were actually hacked. Their email accounts were hacked, and that's how this was done. How was it hacked? It was because they opened up a malicious email, and they got into the system, and they obtained their information. They got their email. I don't know what else information they had, but I know when I talked to Donna, she was flabbergasted. She knew about this. When I called her, I had her phone number to verify this. Let me go ahead one more. I'm going to use Donna's. And this is interesting because here, like the gentleman said before, do not reply directly onto this email, creating what they call a thread, where you start talking and you start building a conversation back and forth either. On this kind of a platform, use either a cell phone call them or text if you have to verify it if you know their numbers. Call or text. And if you don't have their phone number or text and you want to verify it, don't create this thread. In many cases, and this is how I verify with Chuck, is that I will close the browser, go away, create a new email, a clean sheet. In other words, use another email. I'm going to email him, but I'm going to use it as a brand new email from me to him. And what that does, it creates a clean sheet and allows you to communicate. Because the protocol, it's kind of really gets really confusing if I try to explain how this all works. But essentially, there's two frequencies going on. The hackers got the frequency that goes out. They can send this stuff, and they can receive if you create a thread. But if you use another frequency and you use this particular clean sheet, what I call it, it may work. I mean, it used to work in the case with Chuck. Some of these guys may be sophisticated enough, they can intercept the email coming inbound as well as going outbound. Okay, that's the final technique to use. But it's best if you can call them, if you have the phone number. If you don't, try the clean sheet method. Okay. Now this, I'm playing a little game with because we have certain technologies where we can do this. Once I talked to Donna on that Dropbox before opening, or I'm playing a game. I'm doing this with the hacker. This is my email to quote Donna. Before I open this, is this email legit and from you? I had a previous email sent from me and it was a hacker. Yeah, and then I use my initials. But then the response a little while later, I get this. Hi, Ron. They know my name. Okay, that's kind of scary. Yes, please check the file. Open it. It's okay. That's what well, because we have protocols or we have certain things in our organization, I did open it up. I opened it up, and what it was the history of Arizona in a large manuscript format. But inside of that manuscript was a worm, was a virus. So, because, well, I don't want to get into what we have, but we have resources available that we can determine that. So it's encouraged me to go ahead and say it was a safe email, malware delivery, spyware, ransomware, Trojan, whatever it was. I would imagine in this particular case with an EAC member, being an EAC member, he or she or they wanted to get in so that they can spread it even further. Use my email to contact any one of you out there, Dennis, Mike, Brian, John, so they can send it all out, Let me digress a little bit about this iPhone versus a computer or an Android phone. I don't want to get too technical because it gets kind of involved, but the iPhone operates on an iOS system, which is close to like a Mac, okay? The iPhone in itself is a separate entity. It's like a phone. It's a radio. It's basically what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about using an iPhone versus a computer or Android to, as a added security when you're checking your emails. And basically, With the iPhone, it operates on a different operating system, an iOS system, like a Mac computer, and it's different from a laptop or a Microsoft and what have you. Basically, Apple has proprietary keys, I'll just use that, on their system so that when somebody wants, like Amazon or Garmin navigation or something like that, wants to be on an Apple phone, they have to kind of like pay or do some sort of trading with Apple to get allow their system to get on. And then they offer this key. So what this key does for the phone, and it was good for a few years back, I don't know how it is now, but I'll say this, it did eliminate, prevented a little bit more security in being hacked than, let's say, with a computer, which is, and the reason why, and I'm getting technical here, is an iPhone doesn't have a hard drive. None of these cell phones have a hard drive. It's all communicating with a Ethernet, Apple, their mainframe computer, or whoever it is, your Verizon or whatever your system is. But you don't have emails going into your phone and being stored like on this computer here. It's coming from somewhere else. I'll just say that and make it easier. It's coming from a different source, so that if you open up a bug or something, I guess what the point is, and there's virus, there's nothing for it to attack. I mean, inside of if you've ever seen a cell phone, the biggest thing in there is a battery and these little chips. And these chips are not hard drive. They're actually signals, radio. I don't want to get too simple, but if I get simple, it gets kind of erroneous. But just say, for the sake of this argument right now, for this discussion, that it's like a receiver, and it processes all this information quite efficiently too, and it offers that. With an Android phone doesn't have these keys for these applications. They allow the vendor to go ahead and put these applications on board, whether it's Amazon or whoever you're doing business with, and it works. It makes them a little bit more vulnerable to attack, especially with an Android phone. Now things are changing, and the hackers are getting a little bit more smarter. Well, now even an iPhone can be compromised, but not as easy. Where the iPhone gets compromised more so is through the application. Whatever applications you have on it, they'll attack those applications. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, once again, I don't want to get too awfully technical, but are you referring to the use of apps that get loaded?
Yeah, apps.
on
Those
your phone?
apps.
Or are you talking about cookies, which is another thing that they use on the internet to
Yeah.
to hook into?
Yeah. Cookies is another one. The application, the app itself, like if you have, like say you have for me, I have a GPS Garmin application. They can hack that application easier than they can hack the phone. With the cookies, yes, they plant those things in there. If you have cookies put onto your phone, you guys know how to remove those cookies? In fact, I remove it every time I go to a site. Any idea how to get rid of those cookies? Well, if you have okay, there's a gentleman who knows how to do it. And I do it just about every time I go onto it. You do it. Good.
No, speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Cookies are, we were talking about applications and apps. Apps can be hacked and compromised, and they can, but with the cookies, they leave a little trail, they know who you are, where you are, what you like. Chase Bank leaves a cookie for me and says, hey, I recognize this phone, and we're going to go ahead and let you go ahead and access the phone. You sign in with your username and password like that. But if you clear those cookies, and if you know how to do it on your phone, every time you go and use your phone on those kinds of systems, say like Bank of America or Chase, you have to go through a two-factor security thing because it doesn't recognize the phone. It's like a new phone. It's like you bought a new phone, and every time you change the phone, they don't know who or what this phone device is. So, in that respect, for me, I get because of what we do and what I do for work, I clear it all the time. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen a number of friends who've been involved with being hacked and and so on. Dennis, you had another question? Okay. Any questions? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
How do you clear the cookies?
Okay, it would be depending on your iPhone, okay? Basically with with an iPhone, if you go to, you know, where the browser is, where you open it up, okay, on the bottom of it, if there's cookie, there's like a little book that opens up. And if you open up your, well, yeah, that's good. I was gonna get my phone, but if you open up the phone where what your browsing history was, at the bottom of it, there's a little book there, and you click on that book, especially on an iPhone 15, it's fairly easy. You click on the book, and it brings up all the sites that you visited within, I don't know, since you had the phone new. And you could either clear it for the last hour, you can clear it for the last month, or for like me, I clear it for, since it was, I obtained the phone. So essentially, my history is always clear. And it just, open it up, look at your browser, on the bottom of it, you'll see all these little boxes and things like that. One looks like a book. Click on that book, and then it brings up all the history, and it says in little red letters, clear. You hit that clear button, and then it brings up another little box, pop-up box, and it says again, for the last hour, for the last month, for the last, you know, period of time, or forever.
Do you clear it every time you go look on Chase?
It's just, it's, yes, I do. I do.
Clear your cookies.
It,
Does not clear the cookies. It clears your browsing history, but not the cookies.
okay, then how does it, why does Chase does not recognize
You
me?
need to set up in the browser that when you close the browser, it clears the cookies. But that's a setting within the browser, not, it has nothing to do with the history of your visits.
Okay, all right. I think we might be talking about the same thing, but I'm using the wrong terminology. But it does, for mine, it creates a brand new, well, there is, okay, here, let me make it even simpler for you, ma'am. Go on to Google and type in clearing cookies from an iPhone 14, iPhone 5, and that'll bring you up, it'll give you step-by-step instruction how to do it.
It's even more complicated because, you know, if you're running Chrome on your iPhone.
Oh, that's a different story.
Then you've got
That's
to clear your Chrome cookies.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Native Safari, it's different.
Right, and the Firefox and all this, all those, they require additional steps. I'm just saying for just one phone, yeah.
Figure out
yeah.
how to clear your cookies.
How to do it.
You're using, by using Google.
Yes, that's right. It'll give you the instructions how to do it if you just Google it. Okay.
Always complicated.
It is, but yeah, but it takes a little effort, but it adds just a little bit more layer of security for you. Okay, counterfeit website productions. I'm sure we've all seen these, and I'll bring them all up. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is one that came in for me for PayPal LLC. Now I don't do anything with PayPal, okay, but yet they sent me a bill for $500. So, what do you think I'm going to do first thing? I'm going to go up to the PayPal LLC and click on the email, protocol, and it shows service at paypal.com, and that, which is was a legitimate site for PayPal. But then, if you Google and you look at it, you can find out it is a phishing scam. They don't actually use that anymore, PayPal. They want you to call in many cases if you have a concern or a question. Using that service, PayPal, is going to get you in trouble. One other step I did too is PayPal LLC. Man, that's a limited liability corporation. That's kind of like for a smaller business. I go ahead and click on or Google PayPal, and PayPal is actually a multinational holding corporation. Hacking attempt, trying to get you money, trying to get money out of me.
It could still be an LLC.
It could still be an LLC, but not with that kind of service at PayPal.com. That is a
You have
phishing.
to look at the URL and know what, and look at it that way.
Yes, absolutely. If you're going to take the time to do that. But for me, that was satisfactory from us. There was a hacking attempt, and plus, I don't have a PayPal account.
What we always recommend is everything in an email can be forwarded.
Yes,
You know, you can have a reply to embedded in the header.
yes,
You know,
yes,
there's an envelope.
yes,
there's
everything.
inside. Nothing in the email.
Nothing, like I said,
Nothing.
the crooks or the hackers are getting stepped. I mean, it's like we create one defense, they get ahead of that. We do something else, it gets ahead of it.
And so what we always tell people, if you have just the slightest inkling anything fishy about it, just delete it.
Right, yeah, right.
Don't
Keep
want
your,
the file.
or your awareness of it. That's the whole key point of this talk, is you increase your awareness. I'm not trying to scare you or anything like that, but just be a little bit more aware, because our club is getting so many of these. Well, it's cyclic. For a while, we get a lot of these types of emails, and then it drops off, and then it comes back in, and it drops off. Now, I'm not saying, it seems to be focusing more on the national board members, again, the president, maybe the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer, and then it's sent out to the membership. Delete it, or if you have if you think you question it, go ahead and give the president a call. Yeah, right, via phone or however we talked about. Okay. This is the one I received. One of the things that keyed in on me is the logo doesn't look right. It's just the verbiage, the grammar, the sentence structure doesn't look good. So what I do, I go ahead and check, put my finger over the email sender, and guess who? It's somebody other than Yahoo. All right. Another example that comes up, and this one was sent to my wife regarding a Norton account, and she doesn't do nothing with Norton, but it came across and wanted a bill. Says, hey, welcome aboard. And this sentence structure again. One of the things about these spurious emails is that their sentence structure, the use of the language, is kind of, you could tell maybe it's like somebody from a foreign country or somebody who's not very well educated created these emails. And again, hovering over my wife's name, and it came back with some, who knows what. It was certainly not her email. Okay, this one is from Apple Storage. Thank you for your order. And it was to me. And it says, I owe them so much money again. I'm going, wait a minute, what the heck? And it's payment information. And it's to Super Frank at 99. And I get it's back BCC to me. And I go, what the hell? So I click on it, and sure enough, it's some guy by the name of Albert Bropaw at gmail.com. Yeah. Well, anyhow, some of these are, again, very, very well done. I had one done from Bank of America, and I questioned it, called Bank of America, and they put me in touch with their security unit, and they wanted me to forward that email to them or a picture of it, and they took care of it. But anyhow, be aware. Always question, especially if the email is asking for money, unless you know it's your routine source from your utility company or your mortgage company or Bank of America or whoever you do your banking with. Question it, and even with a legitimate site, question it. Dennis.
This is your 10-minute one.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, I'm about ready to wrap it up here myself. Okay, examples of smishing, which is the SMS text. Here's one that came up, and it's the U.S. Have you seen it? You folks have seen this? Yeah. Okay, this is the one that really is asking you to open up. It's very complicated. If you look at this, please reply to one, then exit SMS, and upon SMS activation, link again. I mean, it goes on and on. They lost me after number one, But these are out there now, and judging by the response from the group here, it's a common one. Yeah. All right. Okay, phone calls. I talked about phone calls. AI can simulate somebody's voice, a loved one, somebody, and asking for demanding money. Always verify, be suspicious of it, even if it sounds like your husband or your wife. I need help. I just got arrested. Bob.
Yeah, what I have with my financial guy, because I just wire transferred to buy a Continental Dollar, is that be familiar enough with that person so that I can make a comment about so that's something that even a really good AI program would not know.
Yeah.
Really personal stuff. If you've got a financial person, make that kind of arrangement where there'll be a code word or something that is never put on the internet.
Good, because I'm going to touch on something about what you just said there, Bob. Good. Okay, we talked about phishing, fictitious, fraudulent, malicious phone calls, AI. Okay, monetary demands, creditor and government agencies never call for money or account information. They never want your username or your password. Even some of these fictitious calls or malicious calls are offering great financial opportunities. Send me $100 and I'll give you an ounce of gold or some jazz like that, you know. Jeez. Okay. Additional mitigation measures to consider. I'm getting to the end of this. One, keep your antivirus software up to date. Okay, it's a key element there because, like this gentleman or somebody was talking, you put on a recent new antivirus, a crook's going to get ahead of it. Then if your system is like, for instance, with Norton or McAfee, they'll develop updates, and they keep giving you these updates. And it can be, and it pops up, and it can be kind of a pain in the butt to keep doing all these updates. But if you don't, the one time you slip it, you know, let it go, could be the time that something could come in. A new bug, a new virus has been developed. Okay. Change passwords frequently. They make sure that we change passwords in my organization. It's almost on a quarterly basis, and it may be even more quicker, depending on the nature of the work that we're doing. Passwords, one of the things that the cybersecurity people are recommending, most of the passwords are like, oh, I'll use my dog's name, or I'll use my grandmother's date of birth, or something like that. Well, you know, and some of these passwords that you see now, they require you use maybe 8 to 12 letters using special symbols and numbers. When you do that, it's making it a little bit more secure. But the thing that they're asking for us to do now is to create phrases to be used. Much, much harder to break. I mean, something like over 1 billion sold, you know, and then change the size of the letters, change the, you know, that can make it a little difficult. Another one was Tarzan, the King of the Wild, you know. And inside this guy's, it says use capital T, use an @ as a symbol as an A, and do all this. But if you use a phrase, it's much, much more difficult to break.
More importantly, in passwords, is don't use the same password on different accounts.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So true.
Because as soon as they hire
Yeah.
somebody, they'll have an email and your password.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
We had a guy that
Yeah.
had 64 character random generated text that he just cut and paste every time.
Uh-huh.
Password.
Uh-huh.
He got it.
Yeah.
Every account he had.
Because he used the same password over and over again. Good example. Good example. Thanks for sharing that.
It's very difficult though when you have 60 or 70 passwords.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true. There's always a hitch to it. Use two-factor security measures, and now a lot of banking organizations, credit card companies are using this two-factor thing. The hackers have got ahead of that too, because one of the things we're starting to see in our system is that you get this phone call, they text you this or email you this 6 or 7, 8, 9 number, and you put it in, and it works. Then it brings you back to the home where it says enter your username and password again. You start doing it 2 or 3 times, and what the hackers are trying to do is learn your username and your password. So if you see that occurring, stop and maybe give it a break and try it again. Or if you have questions about it, contact the agency you're trying to contact. Contact your bank, contact whoever your credit card company is, because this is a technique that they're using now. You'll see it. If your two-factor number, you enter it, it works, but it brings you back to the home page. Enter your username and your password again. Yeah, that is, that's the latest thing that's coming out right now. We saw that. Guard against providing personal information. True. Never click or open or download an attachment from an unverified source. Be wary of scam using emotional triggers, fear, love, exhilaration, etc. to trick you into taking an action. Scam pressures to remit payment via wire transfer, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, or cryptocurrency. Okay, those are the kind of things that the hackers would prefer you use those measures. You notice they don't say cash. Okay. Yeah. And here's another one that just came up with a dealer recently. A dealer has a coin on the sale, okay, online. He gets a call from somebody back east. And the way it goes on is that the guy sends a check. He says, okay, I'll send the coin out once I get the check, okay? And I gotta clear the check. And he says, okay, I'll deposit the check. He puts the check into the bank, shows it on his account that his bank has authorized a $200 or $300 purchase. Guy sends the coin out. He says, I'm gonna send the coin out to you now. He's calling the guy. He says, no, I changed my mind. You keep the coin, and I found another coin just like it. Just send me a refund on my money. Okay, well, there's a 10% restocking fee. All right, take out your 10%, but just send me the balance back to me. Sends the balance back, and guess what? It takes the bank maybe about a week or two to actually clear it, and the check bounces. It comes back as insufficient funds, unverified, whatever. So this is a new technique that they're using right now. You send the check out, get your money, you cash the check, shows it clears into the bank, they wait about 2 or 3 days, cancel the order, and then you send them a refund. Oh, man, I tell you. It's a wild world out there, folks. Remember, eternal vigilance is not only the price of freedom for us in our country, but also from scamming. Don't get hooked, folks. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.